We asked these 5 AIs to choose the greatest football club in the history of each country. And just to be clear, these are the AI's decisions, not the creators. With that said, let's begin. Starting with the Netherlands. The French AI voted for Ajax, the most decorated club in Dutch football, with 36 Eredivisie titles and 20 domestic cups. Their historical impact was cemented in the 1970s under Johan Cruyff and Rinus Michels, when they won 3 consecutive European Cups, the Intercontinental Cup in 1972, and later the Champions League in 1995. Ajax has also been a talent factory, producing legends like Cruyff, Van Basten, and Bergkamp, among many others. Google's AI agreed, followed by Grok, ChatGPT, and DeepSeek. A total consensus. Ajax is chosen as the greatest club in Dutch football history. Now we move on to Colombia. Grok's vote went to Atlético Nacional, the most successful club in the country with 18 league titles and 7 Colombian Cups. On the continental stage, they made history as the first Colombian team to win the Copa Libertadores in 1989, and they did it again in 2016. They also captured the Intercontinental Cup in 1989. Their impact on Colombian football is immense, with a passionate fan base and a strong youth academy that has produced stars like Juan Pablo Angel and James Rodriguez. Developing local talent has been key to their identity and success, and once again, none of the AIs disagreed. Another total consensus. Atlético Nacional takes the crown as Colombia's greatest club of all time. Next, we move to Portugal. Le Chat's vote went to Benfica, the most successful club in Portuguese football, with 38 Primeira Liga titles and 26 Portuguese Cups. Internationally, their legacy includes 2 European Cups in 1961 and 1962, plus 5 more finals in Europe's top competition. Icons like Eusebio elevated Benfica's global prestige, while their academy has produced talents such as João Felix. With a massive fan base and deep cultural influence in Lisbon, Benfica has been Portugal's football ambassador to the world, historically surpassing rivals like Porto. And once again, we had another consensus. None of the AIs disagreed. Benfica takes its well-deserved place as Portugal's greatest club. Now let's head to the United States. The Chinese AI voted for DC United, the most successful club of the early MLS era, with 4 league titles and 3 CONCACAF Champions Cups. They even won the Inter-American Cup in 1998. DC United was a pioneer, attracting stars like Jaime Moreno and building one of the first true footballing identities in the US. Though other clubs have risen since, their legacy in the 1990s and 2000s is undeniable. But for the first time, an AI disagreed. And it was about time. Grok cast its vote for LA Galaxy. The Galaxy is the most successful club in MLS history, with 5 MLS Cup titles and 4 Supporters' Shields. Their historical impact lies in their ability to attract global stars like David Beckham, Landon Donovan, and Robbie Keane, elevating the visibility of football in the United States. They were pioneers in professionalizing MLS, setting new standards of competitiveness, and they also lifted the CONCACAF Champions Cup in 2000. Their influence on American football culture and their massive fan base cement them as the most historically relevant club. The rest of the AIs supported this choice, making it official. LA Galaxy is crowned as the greatest club in US history. We now move to Croatia, where Grok's choice was Dinamo Zagreb, the most successful club in Croatian football, with 25 league titles and 18 Croatian Cups. Their legacy dates back to the Yugoslav era, when they won the Intercities Fairs Cup in 1967, a remarkable achievement for a club from the region. Dinamo has been the cradle of talents like Luka Modric and Zvonimir Boban, heavily shaping Croatian football. Their domestic dominance, regular appearances in European competitions, and cultural impact in Zagreb make them the most historically relevant club in the country. And once again, it was a consensus. Dinamo Zagreb is crowned as Croatia's greatest club. Next, we go to Peru. Grok voted for Alianza Lima, one of the most iconic clubs in Peruvian football, with 25 league titles and a fan base that makes it a true cultural symbol. Although they haven't won major international trophies, their legacy comes from being founded in 1901, one of the oldest clubs in the Americas, and their crucial role in popularizing football in Peru. They produced legendary players like Teófilo Cubillas and dominated Peruvian football in the 1920s, 1930s, and 1970s. Their social and cultural influence in Lima is unmatched. But ChatGPT disagreed and brought up a second name, Universitario. Universitario is actually the most successful club in Peru, with 26 league titles. They've been a national symbol for decades and remain one of the most popular clubs in the country. Their 1972 Copa Libertadores campaign, where they reached the final, is still one of the best performances by a Peruvian club in the tournament, alongside Sporting Cristal in 1997. Their consistency, history, and cultural weight make them the most important club in Peru. Lichat agreed and gave Universitario a second vote, followed by Gemini and Deepseek. Universitario takes the title as Peru's greatest club in history. We continue in South America, this time with Chile. For Elon Musk's AI, the greatest Chilean club is Colo-Colo. With 34 league titles and 14 Chilean cups, their most notable achievement is being the only Chilean team to ever win the Copa Libertadores in 1991. They also lifted the Copa Interamericana and the Recopa Sudamericana. Founded in 1925, Colo-Colo has been a pillar of Chilean football, producing idols like Arturo Vidal and Claudio Bravo, along with legendary figures such as Carlos Caselli and Marcelo Barticciotto. With a massive fanbase and a central role in Chile's cultural identity, combined with continental success, they stand as the most historically important club in the country. None of the AIs disagreed. Colo-Colo takes the title as Chile's greatest club of all time. Now we move on to Greece, where Gemini voted for Olympiacos. The most successful club in Greek football history, with a record 48 Super League titles and 29 Greek Cups. Their domestic dominance is overwhelming, and internationally, they've been consistent participants in the UEFA Champions League, achieving notable results that cement their status as Greece's most reliable and successful representative in Europe. With a massive fan base, Olympiacos is the most popular club in the country. But Grok had another name, Panathinaikos. With 20 league titles and 19 Greek Cups, their greatest achievement came in 1971, when they reached the European Cup final under manager Ferenc Puskás, facing Johan Cruyff's Ajax, a unique feat for any Greek team. Founded in 1908 with a huge fan base in Athens and a historic rivalry with Olympiacos, Panathinaikos also has a rich history. Still, the rest of the AIs supported Gemini's choice, voting for Olympiacos. And so, Olympiacos is crowned as Greece's greatest club in history. We jump now to Turkey. Grok stood firm on its choice, Galatasaray, the most successful club in Turkish football, with 25 Super League titles and 19 Turkish Cups. Their greatest international glory came in the year 2000, when they won the UEFA Cup, the first European trophy ever for a Turkish team, followed by the UEFA Super Cup that same year. With a passionate fanbase and huge cultural influence in Istanbul, Galatasaray has been Turkey's football ambassador to the world. Legends like Hakan Şükür and their consistent competitiveness in continental tournaments have cemented their reputation. They are also the Turkish club with the most appearances in the Champions League. All the AIs supported this decision, crowning Galatasaray as the greatest club in Turkish football history. Oh, back to South America, and now we move to Brazil. Grok's choice was clear. Santos. One of the most iconic clubs in Brazil, with 8 Brasileirão titles and 3 Copa Libertadores trophies, 1962, 1963, 2011. Their golden era in the 1960s with Pelé turned them into a global reference point, as they also won 2 Intercontinental Cups. Santos has been the cradle of talents like Neymar and Robinho, and their attacking style of football has deeply influenced the Brazilian identity. While clubs like Flamengo may have larger fan bases, Santos' international legacy makes them the most historically relevant. But ChatGPT disagreed and voted for São Paulo. One of the most successful clubs internationally, São Paulo has won 3 Copa Libertadores, 1992, 1993, 2005, 2 Intercontinental Cups, and a FIFA Club World Cup. They've also added 6 Brasileirões to their cabinet and produced stars like Kaká and Cafu. Their consistency and global titles place them at the top of Brazilian football in terms of impact and prestige. However, the rest of the AIs sided with Grok and voted for Santos. And so, Santos takes the crown as the greatest club in Brazilian football history. We continue in Paraguay, and here once again there was total consensus. All the AIs voted for Olimpia, unquestionably the most important club in Paraguayan football history. Olimpia has won 47 domestic titles and, most importantly, 3 Copa Libertadores, 1979, 1990, 2002, along with a Supercopa Sudamericana and an Intercontinental Cup. They remain the only Paraguayan team to conquer the continent and compete at the global level, making them one of the most respected clubs in South America. Olimpia takes the crown as Paraguay's greatest club of all time. And without going too far, we now head to Uruguay. DeepSeek's vote went to Peñarol. Club Atlético Peñarol is one of the most decorated and historic teams in the world, and by extension, Uruguay's most important club. Their trophy case includes 5 Copa Libertadores and 3 Intercontinental Cups, achievements that place them among the giants of South American and world football. Domestically, they've won more than 40 league titles. Their legendary rivalry with Nacional, their historic players, and their influence on Uruguay's football identity are undeniable. But Lechat disagreed, casting its vote for Club Nacional. While Peñarol has an incredible record, Nacional stands out with more Uruguayan league titles, 49 in total, plus 3 Copa Libertadores and 3 Intercontinental Cups. They are also the only team in history to win international trophies in 3 different centuries, the 19th, 20th, and 21st, counting the Copa Competencia in 1899. Their tradition, contribution to the national team, and historical weight make them Uruguay's most important club. Gemini supported DeepSeek, voting for Peñarol, while ChatGPT sided with Lechat and voted for Nacional. Everything came down to Grok, and it chose Nacional. With that, Nacional is crowned as the greatest club in Uruguayan football history. We travel to Europe and arrive in Germany. Here, there was no doubt at all. Every single AI voted for the same club, Bayern Munich. The true giant of German football, Bayern has won 34 Bundesliga titles and 6 Champions League trophies, the most recent in 2020. They've also lifted 2 Intercontinental Cups and 2 UEFA Super Cups. Bayern stands as the most powerful German club in every sense: trophies, infrastructure, economy, and influence. Over the past decade, they've dominated domestically and remained permanent contenders in Europe. No other German team comes close historically. Bayern Munich is rightfully crowned as Germany's greatest club of all time. Next, we move to Ecuador. For Grok and ChatGPT, the choice was clear: Liga de Quito, the first and still only Ecuadorian club to win the Copa Libertadores. They also went on to conquer the Copa Sudamericana and back-to-back Recopa Sudamericana titles in 2009 and 2010. Domestically, they've won 11 league titles, making them one of the country's most successful teams. Their impact in Ecuador is immense, with a loyal fanbase and a competitive style of play that elevated Ecuadorian football across South America. Their international triumph and consistent success at home make them the most important club in Ecuador's history. But Lechat and DeepSeek disagreed, voting for Barcelona SC. The most successful and popular club in Ecuador, founded in 1925. Barcelona has won 16 Ecuadorian Serie A titles and has had a major cultural and historical impact on Ecuadorian football. While they never won the Libertadores, they reached the final twice, in 1990 and 1998. And have been one of the most consistent participants in the competition. Alongside their historic rivalry with Emelec, Barcelona SC stands as a giant of Ecuadorian football. The final decision fell to Google's AI, which voted for Liga de Quito, and with that, Liga de Quito takes the crown as Ecuador's greatest club of all time. Now we move on to Mexico, and here, there was absolute agreement. Every single AI chose the same club, Club America, the most iconic and successful team in Mexican football, holding the record with 16 Liga MX titles. But their relevance goes far beyond domestic trophies. They've also conquered 7 CONCACAF Champions League titles, the most in the history of the tournament, until 2025 when Cruz Azul finally matched that record. With a massive fan base, huge media impact, and constant dominance in both Mexican football and CONCACAF, Club America stands as the greatest and most influential club in Mexico's history. We head back to Europe, this time to France. Grok voted for PSG. Paris Saint-Germain is the most successful club in French football, with 14 Ligue 1 titles and 16 French Cups. While their recent dominance has been fueled by modern investment, their historical impact has grown significantly in recent years, reaching the Champions League final in 2020 and finally winning it in 2024. PSG has attracted global icons like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Mbappe, and Messi. Their cultural influence in Paris and their ability to compete in Europe, along with domestic dominance, make them the most historically relevant French club, surpassing rivals like Saint-Étienne. But Gemini offered a second name, Olympique de Marseille. Marseille remains the most historic and traditional French club, primarily because it was the only French team to have won the UEFA Champions League until PSG lifted the trophy in 2024. With 9 Ligue 1 titles and 10 French Cups, Marseille's legacy is tied to its deep popular roots and national significance, even if PSG has enjoyed greater modern success. DeepSeek added a third name, Saint-Étienne. With 10 league titles, Les Verts dominated French football in the 1960s and 70s, even reaching the European Cup final in 1976. While PSG and Marseille carry greater weight today, Saint-Étienne represents the essence of traditional, popular French football. In the end, however, the majority of the AIs voted for PSG. And so, Paris Saint-Germain is crowned as the greatest club in French football history. We now move on to Italy. ChatGPT voted for Milan. Milan is the most important Italian club on the international stage. With 7 European Cups Champions League titles, the second highest tally in the continent, they stand as a true historical giant. Domestically, they've also won 19 league titles and multiple domestic trophies. Legends like Maldini, Baresi, Van Basten, Kaká, and Shevchenko defined entire eras, and their European DNA places them above even Juventus when it comes to global prestige. That was ChatGPT's argument. But Grok had a different opinion. Juventus. The most successful club in Italian football history, with a record 36 Serie A titles, somewhat far more than any other team. While they've only won 2 Champions League trophies, 1985, 1996, their sheer domestic dominance is their strongest case. Juventus's legacy stretches back over a century, with a worldwide fanbase and a constant ability to attract top talent. La Vecchia Signora has been a pillar of Italian football and a consistent contender in Europe, maintaining its status as the country's most influential and recognizable club. And none of the other AIs disagreed. In the end, they all voted for Juventus, crowning them as Italy's greatest club in football history. We now head to England. Grok had its favorite, Liverpool, the most successful English club internationally, with 6 European Cups, more than any other British team, along with 20 league titles and a vast collection of FA Cups and League Cups. Their legacy includes the mythical "You'll Never Walk Alone," their dominance in the 70s and 80s, and their resurgence under Jurgen Klopp. Manchester United may be their eternal rival, but in Grok's view, Liverpool's international weight and emotional impact make them superior. Gemini, however, voted for Manchester United. United is the most iconic and successful club in English football history, holding a record 20 league titles. Their global relevance was cemented by winning 3 Champions League trophies, 1968, 1999, 2008, including the legendary treble of 1999. United has transcended sport to become a worldwide brand, with an enormous fan base and cultural influence that goes far beyond the pitch. Their legacy, marked by figures like Sir Alex Ferguson and their attacking style of play, solidifies them as the historic giant of English football. But in the end, the rest of the AIs sided with Grok. With 4 out of 5 votes, Liverpool is crowned as the greatest club in English football history, without a doubt. Now we move to Argentina. The Chinese AI cast its vote for River Plate. With 38 league titles and 4 Copa Libertadores trophies, River are the team with the most league championships in Argentina. Their legendary La Máquina of the 1940s and their incredible youth academy, which produced stars like Alfredo Di Stefano and Enzo Francescoli, make them historic. River's mix of tradition, domestic success, but Elon Musk's AI voted for Boca Juniors. Boca is Argentina's most iconic club, with 35 league titles and 6 Copa Libertadores trophies. Their global impact was cemented with 3 Intercontinental Cups and legends like Juan Román Riquelme and Diego Maradona. La Bombonera has become a world symbol of football, and Boca's passionate fans embody Argentine football culture. While River Plate are fierce rivals, Boca surpasses them in international impact and cultural influence. ChatGPT, however, went in a different direction. Independiente, known as the King of Cups, and for good reason. Independiente has won 7 Copa Libertadores, a historic record, along with 2 Inter-American Cups and 2 Intercontinental Cups. While Boca and River dominate domestically, no Argentine club has ever ruled the continent the way Independiente did. Their international legend and reputation in continental football are unmatched. That left the decision to Lashat and Gemini, and both voted for the same club, Boca Juniors. With 3 out of 5 votes, Boca is crowned as the greatest club in Argentine football history. We arrive in Spain. Grok voted for Real Madrid. Without question, the most important club on the planet. With 15 Champions League trophies, 36 La Liga titles, multiple Copa del Rey and Supercopa victories, 5 Club World Cups, and a history filled with legends, Real Madrid has set the standard of greatness for more than half a century. From Di Stefano to Cristiano Ronaldo, their global impact is absolute. They are the most successful, influential, and iconic club in football history. And the rest of the AIs said the same, a total consensus. Real Madrid is crowned as the greatest club in Spanish football history. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. See you in the next video here on More Than Football.